Shalom, everyone. This is Dr. Caleb Lehrer, Apostolic Messianic International, with a morning prayer journey where we take a devotional slant on the Saviour and we talk about Messianic faith. Now, today we're going to talk about the Modeh Ani prayer, and I've used this in counseling so many times, and it's very, very effective. Not the prayer itself, but the principle that the prayer is based off of. Now, a lot of us are dealing with stress and discouragement and emotional trouble, and all that can be very, very difficult. Some people these days are upset about political issues, some about family issues. As a matter of fact, just about everyone has at least one major stressor that they're dealing with, waking up, glaring us in the face every single day that we wake up. And if you're from a storm impacted area, then you've got a lot to deal with. You've got a lot of issues with housing and insurance and contractors, or maybe just food and water. Many times supplies are short, tempers are quick. We just have a lot on our plate from one coastline all the way to the other. And although there can always be a lot to be distressed and discouraged about, I'm going to tell you something that God told me after Hurricane Rita. When we lost our home, God spoke to me and He said, "My blessings are not broken." Now, your heart, your life, a lot of what you're doing, and a lot of how you view the future may be broken right now due to some type of personal crisis. Maybe it's a natural event or just discouragement that can just be debilitating. But whenever we unite that brokenness with faith, I want you to know that miracles are born. Now, many people wake up to something negative. It's like a monster that just, when they wake up, it jumps into their mind. They get off on the wrong foot just about every single day. And that negative stressor, as soon as their mind becomes active, just jumps on the scene, starts to dominate their thinking, dominate their emotions, and it takes away from the spiritual, emotional, and physical vitality that we really need to worship. Now, uniting that brokenness with faith is very important, as we said, and how we do that, especially in the middle of a crisis, has a lot to do with how we manage ourselves emotionally and spiritually and mentally. And we have to be in a place where we're inviting God in to every mundane place as we wake up through the day. But it's vitally important to capture those first few thoughts the moment that we wake up before anything else unfolds. And that frames our day Godward. Now, getting God in the middle of those first few moments of the day helps us as we walk through our day in so many ways. Now, God, a lot of times in our day and in our crisis, will walk through that crisis with us and empower us to be a witness. Understand how mighty and powerful that God is. He doesn't have to offer escapism. He doesn't have to be defensive. He doesn't have to shield us from everything. He uses all of that for His purpose. And just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in Daniel chapter 3, God is going to use everything in our life, and as it comes, He walks through that with us, and that becomes a testimony that God will testify of His own glory, His own power to the entire world, and He's going to do that through our lives and even our brokenness. Now, when trials knock at our door, we can grieve over our losses, or we can understand that God is still using us one way or the other. He's still transforming us. He's still doing everything around us, healing, saving, He's delivering, He's aligning us with His prophetic and His redemptive plan. We are always in this constant season of change. The problem is that change can be very, very stressful. In dealing with that change, what we want to do is we want to capture that first thought as it pops into our head, and we want to devote that to God and begin our day focusing on who He is and what He's called us to be and what He's called us to do. Now, doing that's so important, and a lot of you that are familiar with Jewish living, you're familiar with the Modeh Ani prayer, the prayer that's set up on rising, and it's one of the best places to start. The Modeh Ani prayer, the blessing upon rising, begins this way. It says, "I thank you, living and eternal King, for returning my soul, or my consciousness, within me in compassion, Great is your faithfulness. Now, John Parsons with Hebrew for Christians attached this teaching to the Modeh Ani prayer, and this is from Rabbi Solom Dovber of Lubavitch, and it said, in the service of the Almighty, the point of departure is the Modeh Ani, and he recognized that though capturing those first thoughts in the morning was absolutely vital to how we confronted our day and answered the challenges of life. Now, this recognition, whenever we wake up and we address God with our first thoughts of our mind, that God is the source of life, that He loves us, that He's faithful. Notice how all that sounds very marital and almost like it's a marital proclamation. It was really meant to be so. And whether this prayer is used or a psalm is used or one is used that's constructed by the person and just said when they wake up, all of those are very beneficial and important regardless of what you do. The important thing is to capture that first thought, because we know that Scripture does support the idea of both morning and also evening prayer. Now, our simple focus and dedication of our thoughts to God is very, very important. We can lay there in the bed, we can commit our first fruits of our thinking, our intention, and our energy to God, and we lay in humble submission before the throne of God and before His presence, and we can trust Him for every single thing that's going to come our way in the process of that day, and we can recognize our dependency upon Him. Each day that we wake up, our lives are literally a blank page. What happened yesterday is gone. Our trials, our burdens, our struggles from yesterday are in yesterday. Today, God renews His blessing. He renews His salvation. He renews His promises to us every single day that we wake up. And every day we wake up, regardless of how bad we messed up yesterday, God gives us a chance as His image, as His likeness of His redemptive work that is on display before all of mankind, regardless of what happened yesterday. We can wake up today, we can live out the presence, the mercies of God, and we can be who God called us to be. Now, we don't always have the answers to things, and there's a lot that's really out of our control, but God is in control, and we are God's people. We don't have to ascribe to the literal idea that God returns our souls as much as our consciousness in our mind that we wake up. He gives us the blessing to connect with Him. He gives us the privilege to pray. We recognize that whenever we go to sleep and whenever we wake up, at all times, even in our sleeping time, we can be committed to God for fellowship and also for communion. Now, in Genesis chapter 1, we read about how God made the creation, and He bookended it in evening and morning, and we can do the same exact thing. That pattern is important to us. As we wake up, we release the whole weight of yesterday, and we insist on serving God with what He has given us today. Today is a gift. Today is the day that is committed to God, that God gave it to us, that God is going to strengthen us, empower us. And so I want to encourage you to speak the promise of God over your day and arise and love the Lord your God and speak His presence. God has your day. So in the morning, wake up and walk in faith, and God is going to bless. This has been your morning prayer journey, and we invite you to join us on Apostolic Messianic International on Facebook. My name is Dr. Caleb Lehrer, the Heathrow.